Hello and welcome to today's video. In this video I'm going to be doing the Give a Book book tag. In this tag you basically asked a question and you meant to find a book that will fit into that description, and you just find a book that fits that fulfills that, almost like a prompt, and show that book. You give the book, you give your answer to the question. So yeah, I originally saw this tag on the Reader's Digest channel, so I will link both their video and the video of the original creator down below in the description box. So I think we should just get right into the questions. Question 1. Give a book to make someone smile. So for this I'm going for Fangs. This is a very cute graphic novel about a werewolf and a vampire who meet and start dating. It's cute, it's funny, and you just find yourself smiling at all of the different various situations that are going on. It's very small, it's a very quick read, and you just smile throughout it. So for question 1, my answer is Fangs. Question 2. Give a book that you don't talk a lot about. So Grayson is one of my favourite fantasy series. I hardly talk about it, so I'm picking book 1 of that series, Grayson, although this would actually work for any of the books in the series. I don't really talk about it, but yeah, book 1, Grayson, is what I'm going to go for. Grayson is about a world where people are either born with or in very early life get 2 different coloured eyes. And if that's the case, it means that you have a grace. Graces can be for anything and everything, but you do find they are normally super specific. So, for instance, being able to perfectly aim a bow and arrow could be someone's grace. And we also look into how the world works, how different people have different political holds on the world, and how those people treat the people with graces that live within their region. In book 1, Gracing, we follow Katza, who is able to kill a man with her bare hands, and she's been able to do that since she was 8. She's also potentially important because her uncle is the king of a certain area of land. There are so many things that go on throughout this book and the entire series about the world, how it's developed, how it's explored, how it's expanded on, and it's just, yeah, more and more. So if you haven't given Grayson a go, you should. Question 3. Give a book that you can't stop talking about. Since reading These Violent Delights earlier this year, I've not stopped being able to talk about it, both online and in real life, in person-to-person conversation. These Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet retelling based in 1920s Shanghai. It also has a magic fantasy element, and it is a fantasy book. In this we follow Juliet and Roma, who are part of different gangs that control different parts of Shanghai. But where we start off the story in this is very different to how the original Romeo and Juliet starts off. There's already a lot of backstory, there's already a lot of emotions built up, and there's already a lot of things that have just already happened. And yeah, honestly this book is just so great. If you have not read These Violent Delights, you need to go read it. Question 4. Give a book that people are either going to love or they're going to hate. My sister's a serial killer. This book receives a lot of love for the story and the plot and the characters. However, it falls both ways. It really is like Marmite, and my stance on this is the exact same as my stance on that. I did not like this book. I'm okay with not liking a character. I'm okay with having an unlikable main character, even one that makes wrong decisions. However, in this book there was not a single character that I liked. All of them were unlikable, even the smallest of side characters. They were also all wrong, all the time. They were wrong. With how they handled absolutely everything. With the name of the book, the title of the book, I'm sure it's no surprise to learn that the main character's sister is a serial killer. But don't worry about that. No one cares. No one cares. No one at all. No one cares. It's not a problem. No one cares. Honestly, I just can't with this book. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more loathsome I become. But I mean, a lot of other people love it. Question 5. Give a book for someone who needs to get in their feels. Wink is such an amazing book. It's a middle grade book about a 12-year-old boy called Ross who has eye cancer. And through a variety of ways of exploring, including flashbacks, we see Ross go through his entire journey, from diagnosis through treatment, whilst also seeing him learn how to play guitar and form a band. And the book itself also talks about how adults treat him, how other kids treat him, and we get to see Ross express himself also through drawing his own comics, and that's how he kind of really shows how he's feeling. Overall, I really recommend this book, and it really will just give you like all of the feelings. So yeah. Question 6. Give a book with immaculate vibes. Pangea. It's an easy choice. Pangea is such an easy choice for this. When I read the question, I went back onto Goodreads to reread my review of it to see if I'd use the word immaculate, because like that's how much of an easy choice this was. I hadn't used the word immaculate, but like I very easily could have. I would use words like seamlessly, intent, impact. Yeah, it's honestly a great book, and this little poetry collection is so amazing. It's about trauma, but it's about different types of trauma. So trauma inflicted from a person, from a country, trauma we inflict on ourselves, and it is truly just structured so well and written so precisely that it just has such an impact. It is great. 100% recommend. Question 7. Give a book for someone who would like to be surprised. So the book I'm going for might feel a little bit annoying for this one, because I feel like to get the full effect and the full surprise you need to read 7 books before you get to it. So the book is Clockwork Princess. So reading the books in the Shadowhunter world in publication order, this is book 8. But like, oh my god, like the surprise, like the one surprise that I'm really thinking about, that you really, if you read them in publication order, you get all of the impact. Like it's worth it. It's 100% worth it. The Clockwork Princess is the last book in the Infernal Devices trilogy, but it should be read to get maximum impact, I personally feel, between books 5 and book 6 of the Mortal Instruments series. In the Infernal Devices we follow Tessa, who is actually on this one, and we're learning about shadow hunters. We're exploring 1878 Victorian England, and it's just such a good time, and I'll just leave it as that. Like, but yeah, there really is a surprise in this, that especially my first time reading it, like, caught me so off guard, and even through reread it's like still so amazing. So yeah, for a surprise I would recommend Clockwork Princess. Question 8. Give a book for someone who needs a little love. So for this one I've gone for The Black Flamingo. This book does have a small amount of like romance factor, which in terms of love I feel like was the natural kind of route to pick for this question. However, that's not why I chose this book. Like, it only really has that in terms of like talking about love and romance. This book was chosen because of the amount of like self-love this book has, and just loving yourself for exactly who you are. This is the story of Michael, a mixed race guy who we see growing up and going to university. And once we get to the university part of the book, we get to start exploring the world of drag with Michael, and Michael really figuring out who he is. And I also wanted to mention, if you are going to pick this book up, I would 100% recommend also picking up the audiobook version, as well as reading along, because the pages are very interesting. But yeah, the audiobook version was amazing for me because this book is entirely written in verse, so with the audiobook you really get the full impact. And yeah, would 100% recommend. Question 9. Give a book that's an old favourite. For this, I have to pick Hunger Games. Yeah, this was a favourite when it came out. I gave it 5 stars. I reread it last year and it still got 4 stars. I think it really held up really quite well, to say it had obviously aged quite a lot, but yeah, it still really held up. So yeah, an old favourite is the Hunger Games, but I assume that everyone knows what the Hunger Games is about, so yeah, I'm just going to leave it as that, the Hunger Games. Question 10. Give a book you think everyone should read. So obviously for this question, the natural thing, the thing I probably should have done would have been to go with an amazing book that talked about societal issues and had profound takes on life and really made you think. However, I've gone for Morganville Vampires, which is a YA fantasy book that is just so fucking amazing, and like it just doesn't get anywhere near as much love as I think it deserves. I love this series. So because it's one book, I'm picking book 1 in this series, which is Glass Houses, but the series itself is called The Morganville Vampires. These books follow Claire Danvers, who goes to university in Morganville, Texas, and very soon into her university experience she moves into the glass house and kind of learns that vampires are real, and they also live in Morganville. Yeah, this series overall is just such a good time. It has so many twists, so many turns, and I just 100%, if you love YA vampire stories, or just like more classic like YA stuff that, I don't know, used to be on like TV or in books like 10 years ago, just give this a go. It is so good. So yeah, for question 10, a book everyone should read, start the Morganville Vampire series and read Glass Houses. So that was all of the questions. I had a lot of fun filming this. I hope that you enjoyed it too. Don't forget the original creator is linked in the description box below. If you did enjoy the video, please do consider liking and subscribing down below for more content like this. I do upload every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, so hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!